Welcome to another episode of Problematic Philosophies, baby. Alright, that's the right button. Alright, well, I swear to God. Anyways, I'm your host, the only person here in this godforsaken bar. While I'm outside, I'm walking around conquered by penis syndrome. I'm Problematic Paul. If you don't know who I am, that's cool. Keep that shrouded in mystery, just like how the Jedi Council is shrouded in that uncertain. They're just goofy. They're just kind of ignorant. They're oblivious of what Sheev was doing. I'm Problematic Paul. Today's episode, it's not gonna have spoilers. It's not gonna have it unless I spoil, I kind of ruin a celebrity for you by saying yo, they're problematic, and then they're yo, I didn't know that. I'm still fuck with you and them and you, but don't fuck with any of us. Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with them. Celebrities owe you nothing, but they owe you so much more because you, that community, and you brought them there to that point of greatness. I wouldn't even say greatness, but popularity and stuff. Also remember, don't deify celebrities. Don't give into that influencer celebrity culture. Just eradicate it. It's just basically they're just normal people, and they just do they even have a union, celebrity union? I don't know. Anyways, today's episode is going to be about cancel culture versus call-out culture. These are very different things. One is to destroy someone with defamation. Sometimes. The other one's to bring awareness, to hold people accountable, and to recognize how we could change and how we could grow and repair and heal the community that they have basically betrayed in a lot of ways, in some ways, at least. But without further ado, well, I haven't done that for any of the other episodes. I haven't been podcasting for about a month or two, just on the life and lore and on Marzi Cole, doing best guest spots. Anyways, enough about me. I haven't done that in a second. A lot of stuff happening. Anyway, back to me.
Oh shit, here we go again.
A lot of stuff has been happening with in the gray area of the Wild West. I'm not even gonna say where I'm at, but the Wild West. It's very wild out here. The numbers are increasing, especially for COVID cases and everything. So it's kind of we're all bunkered in. I hope more than usual, but it doesn't seem like it. A lot of people are going out being fucking oh, where have you been, loco? Yeah, that's fucking wild out here, dog. It's and holler. It's not even the good thing, People are just fucking going around town, just doing their own thing, getting people infected because they're asymptomatic and they're not staying at home.
Problematic philosophies does contain problematic profanity.
What is this? What's your profanity? Right, I'm sorry.
Rude humor and comments.
Get in my face with that, I'll beat your goddamn ass, you son of a bitch, you piece of shit.
Silly satire.
Have you ever had a dream that you
You don't like any of these things, I'm just gonna straight up tell you, if you don't like the problematicness, the weighted opinions, and the rants and vents that I get into, then I don't know what to tell you, really. There's gonna be segments within this, though. There's gonna be there's just gonna be portions where I kind of go off on a second, go off for a little bit, and just talk, free off script, free handing, free falling, I doing my own thing, kind of just talking. Anyways.
Without further, I already did that, right? Without further ado, whatever. Open up this fucking this thing, this bunker hole.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna go into this. You could also check my text while I'm here. Make sure I reply to everyone. Yep. Shit's opening. Hello. Welcome. All right. Yeah. I like that. You like that? I like that. Yeah. Fuck that guy. I don't know about that guy. Anyways.
Cancel culture versus call-out culture.
Well, cancel culture has been a social practice for many decades. Yet we're starting to see the magnifying effects of calling someone out so they can ultimately take accountability for their actions. According to Francesca Ramsey, author of Well, That Escalated Quickly, there are 2 elements. You heard it here, folks. 2 elements. One being the key to your response to any calling out. The first part is to take responsibility for what you've done, Ramsey says. And the second part is you make a commitment to change that behavior. Ramsey goes on to say, when someone is calling you out, they are doing you the favor. They're taking the time and emotional labor to tell you how your privilege is perpetuating institutions and stereotypes that are ultimately harmful for yourself, for your friends, for your loved ones, for your community, dog. Don't be doing that. So, some examples of cancel culture. All right, ready for this one? Examples of the cancel.
Ellen DeGeneres. After a few accusations of mistreating and misconduct in the workplace, Twitter attacked Ellen by storm with commentary surrounding the accusations as well as comments about her previous actions. The rap sheet ranged from numerous accounts of inappropriate comments to cringy takes and actions Ellen has made to guests during interviews.
And also her day-to-day interactions on set, Does this make DeGeneres a degenerate? That's for you to judge. That's kidding. I'm here to say that with her platform, she doesn't seem to use her privilege and status in edifying ways, and she seems to fall into performative activism that becomes especially apparent during this pandemic as we see intense social activism against police brutality, social inequities, and the courageous stories that survivors and victims of racial, sexual, and domestic abuse have to live in order to have justice and bring awareness of their assault and abuse that they're facing either systemically or within their own life. Number 2, we got J.K. Rowling.
How did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
The infamous author and debatable creator of the Harry Potter wizarding world has been on the receiving end of many critiques on her bold statements towards the LGBTQ plus community, the erasure of marginalized groups, and suffering. And as of the summer of 2020, we have the new slandering of trans people and the community. Shame on you, JK. We never thought you were the holier than thou, yet these actions are beyond the cautionary tale. The purpose of these callouts aren't always to publicly shame the offender, rather, they're meant to initiate conversation around accountability. We also have Ed Skrein was offered a role in the film Hellboy. After he and the production team were called out for whitewashing, Skrein left the role with a statement acknowledging that the concerns of the people calling him out were actually valid. So that's a different one. You thought he was going to be called out and wrong? Nah, Ed Skrein, that's a way to do it. I mean, first of all, don't accept that role. Like, think about it. Think about like the whitewashing part. Very problematic on both the production team, the writers. But you know what? You did your part to step down. So no shout outs, no brownie points. But you know what? That's what you're supposed to do as a white. All right. Anyways, the final example that I have the patience to go over is Scarlett Johansson. Has been called out numerous times for whitewashing and has more recently accepted a role as a trans man. Ooh, tough look. Oh God. Instead of taking accountability on the critique and opening up an opportunity for a trans actor, Johansson did a classic whataboutism and deflected responsibility. Well, that is incorrect, Johansson. So why do people call out abusers and why do they bring up allegations? The underlying purpose behind accusations and allegations against abusers is to bring caution when interacting with said abuser. Allegations should always be taken seriously, should be met with understanding and an open mind. As I mentioned before, callouts are, for holding offenders accountable for their actions. The friends and family of the abuser are meant to observe change of behavior and subject the offender and abusers to the rightful punishment deemed by the severity of their actions. So what's the harsh reality of these callouts? Well, it first of all takes monumental courage and support to be able to speak on traumatic experiences as a victim of abuse. Reinviting tales of trauma and hurtful memories and experiences does an amount of damage to the mental, emotional, and also the spiritual well-being of victims. Folks that speak on their trauma by mounting allegations of abuse towards others has unfortunately been met with public ridicule, gaslighting, and sometimes even threats. So you're fucked up. So now what? You cause harm and someone that is accused of harm. What do you do? What to do and what not to do. So what to do? Believe the survivor and trust their experience of what happened, but also what they are willing to tell you what they need. Do center the survivor, which may be hard because of, where you feel your loyalties lie with your friend if your friend is the abuser in the situation. Also because our friend may have been grooming yourself, or the friend has groomed you to doubt this person. This is something that some people do to avoid accountability, and it might seem like it, but holding yourself or your friend accountable is the best thing for them to do. Do not blame the survivor, since your friend is going to struggle with being called out. And this is understandable, and it isn't easy to face the truth of your or their harmful behavior. Regardless of how severe this impact is, it is not the responsibility of the survivor or anyone supporting the survivor. Do not tell the survivor how difficult it is for your friend, or unless they ask you. Remember, your friend is responsible for their own behavior because they created this situation. Do not gaslight the survivor and ask for proof or reasoning of any explanation. They do not owe you this. They have had to do this again and again, each time reliving that trauma. Listen if they want to share, but if they don't, respect that and also support them. You don't need to understand in order to believe them. This is from @Zoe Boekenbinder, ZoeBoekbinder on Instagram. Think outside the cage. Well, Binder says, is that acceptable to say? Zoeboic Binder. Yeah, that's it. Zoeboic Binder says, quote, "We have been living in a society that relies on punitive justice. It gives us a black and white view of people, guilty or innocent, punished or exonerated. Despite our abolitionist politics, many of us still see through that lens, and it takes work to unlearn what has been deeply ingrained in us from birth. Challenge your assumptions. What does it look like for you to take harm seriously while rejecting a punitive system? How can you support your friend while actively encouraging them towards restorative processes of accountability? Accountability is not punishment. Asking for it is not an attack. It is a huge risk for a survivor, and it's important that we don't punish survivors for this and that we acknowledge it as a generous gift. Accountability processes are vulnerable and revealing of the truth. People who are habitually abusive will try to avoid them, not seek them. And this is relevant in conversation about rehabilitation. We must hold those accountable for their actions instead of further ostracizing them and incarcerating them. They need to recognize the pattern of harm they've done to someone. The harm done to a person, community, or society must be accounted for. Understand that maybe it's hard to believe your friend could do something like this. It's important to remember that everyone is capable of causing harm. Admitting that your friend caused harm is not saying that they're a bad person, but accountability is an act of love and solidarity, not a punishment. If your friendship can't withstand it, it wasn't strong to begin with. And embody the movement. Have you been marching the streets in support of defunding the police and prisons? Do you have a mindset of an abolitionist to the systems of harm our government and society has bound us to? A quote by Miriam Kaba. As a society, we have been so indoctrinated with the idea that we solve problems by policing and caging people that many cannot even imagine anything other than prisons and police as solutions to violence and harm. The abolitionist movement is not suggesting we ignore harm. It is showing us how to respond differently. It requires community-led responses to harm. So respond, do your part. What criminal justice systems ask is 1. What was the crime? 2. Who has committed it? And 3 being, what is the punishment? While restorative justice asks, what happened? Who was harmed and how? And what is needed to repair the harm? There's a lot of facts on this. There's a lot of examples, of course, throughout history of cancel culture versus call-out culture. One being the Martin Luther with the 99 points to the Catholic Church. That is a simple call-out. It's like, hey, you're doing this wrong. What are you going to do to take accountability and to fix it, to shift yourself into being for the people? There's a lot of call-outs with the people of a governed society calling out their officials. There's a lot of statements being made with demonstrations, with protests. They're all meant to be call-outs. Whereas the cancel culture, like the examples of Miriam Kaba and the Instagram users have been noting, and Francesca Ramsey has also noted within their book, we are so tied down and we seem to be toxically married to this idea of the prison system as a way of controlling and filtering out these people and problematic entities. If we want to truly abolish those systems and that belief and that mindset, having someone else deal with it, having someone more responsible, giving those people the power and responsibility, then we're going to end up in another cycle of things, systems that just don't work, that bring systemic oppression and abuse to communities and people, in a way to steer away from that, to still adhere to our principles and how we want to conduct ourselves and how to live in a community that is both edifying, healing, constructive, and appropriate for us, our families, and our loved ones. We definitely have to stop perpetuating these institutions, these accusations behind these allegations that kind of just are spewed out without any reparations being made, without any responsibility, without any commitment to change, without that rehabilitation, without accountability, and it will just be an ongoing cycle. And that's what I believe is Paul, Problematic Paul. If you have any thoughts on that, if you have any opinions on that, don't keep it to yourself, you filthy animal.
Okay.
Just reach out. Don't find me in the personals, please. That's very weird. I say that every time. Just don't do that. If you know me personally, just disconnect. Break that tie. Burn that bridge, baby. Fuck the environment. Easy. Understand yourself. Don't worry about reaching out to me. Don't be, hey, I listen to your podcast, Paul. I don't want to hear that shit. Just keep that to yourself. I don't want to, don't play the podcast in front of me. That's fucking weird. I was volunteering and I was like trying it up, like trying to get friendly and shit like that. And I was like, yo, yeah, like, hey, I do this. And like, what did you do pre-corona, pre-pandemic? And I was like, shut the fuck up, dude. I podcasted. I started this podcast about like fucking, not about Scientology, but I talked about Scientology. And they're like, yo, where's it at? And I'm like, yeah, listen to it later, right? Listen to this podcast. Yeah. And then they're like, yo, let's play it right now. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, they played it on a speaker. People at the store could hear it. And like, we were like, boxing shit up, and we were like taking donations and shit. But then also I was just like cussing up a storm about Scientology and Xenu, and they're like, yo, this is funny. And I'm like, oh dude, this makes me so uncomfortable. I don't know any of you. What the fuck? I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, why are they listening to my voice? Like, just talk to me instead. Don't listen to my podcast, you freaks. Anyways, I haven't been there in a while because I've been volunteering at another donation center. It's in California, and I could just say California, so it's in the Wild West. And anyways, like, just don't listen to the podcast in front of me. That's fucking weird. But anyways, there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of citations out there. There's how to, what is cancel culture, breaking down the toxic online trend. How is this online trend? There's a lot of articles on Medium. A shout out to my boys, my fellas, my folks, my ladies, my Hades in Medium. I've been starting to publish these transcripts and other research that I'm doing, not just on my personal blog, but also on Medium and Apple News. So y'all can check it out there, because I know podcasts tend to run long, my podcast at least, and it's a very niche format. It's a very niche medium. So I just want to get that, get this subject out there, start that conversation. Definitely an important conversation to have, and important thought to think if you know someone that has been in that situation, or you yourself are in this situation, or shame on you if you've been the abuser in this circumstance, but also understand that you do have to take your part and actively change, actively heal, and see how you've hurt people. Let's take that accountability, and it's up to you to be responsible to really adhere to the process of healing and adhere to the new principles that you're trying to establish for your life, and stop being a piece of shit, basically. That's all I gotta say about that. But other than that, I'm gonna go back into this bunker. You know what I'm saying? I've been out strolling around for too long. I'm just gonna easy. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just like, I'm lowering myself.
It's a trap.
You like that, Lavin? You like that?
Are you going to finish that croissant?
Maybe, baby. I see ya.